The American Broadcasting Company, ABC. News Channel 5 at 11 is brought to you by Ohio Edison. Now, from the most watched news team in Ohio, this is News Channel 5 at 11.
Have you ever thought about committing suicide? That's a question being posed to some local 6th and 8th graders on a statewide survey. And tonight, some parents are asking why the test is being given without their knowledge. It's a survey being paid for by taxpayer dollars aimed at preventing children from using drugs and alcohol. Good evening. I'm Roosevelt Leftwich in for Ted Henry.
And I'm Barbara Meek in for Lorna Barrett. This local school survey asked some fairly personal questions, which has some parents worried. News Channel 5's Jenny Dean is here to tell us about it. What's going on?
Well, Barbara, the survey is part of the Safe and Drug-Free Schools program funded by state tax money and endorsed by Governor Voinovich. But because the survey involves sensitive material, which parents were not warned about, we thought we should look into it. So we went to Mayfield City School District, where the test was given,
to find out what kind of dangerous habits are being formed by Ohio's 4th through 8th graders. It asked 6th graders if they've used cocaine and 4th graders if they've sniffed glue or gas.
Do you know if 4th graders have answered yes to that question?
Yes, I do. And I know they have.
And he says that's the reason students are being asked sensitive questions about guns and drugs, to find out if they're forming bad habits the school can try to prevent, like the question of whether 6th graders have ever considered suicide.
And we know that the incidence of suicide among young people is increasing.
But whether suicide or drug use is increasing, some say parents should be told their children are taking these tests.
I think the school board should be responsible for contacting the parents first, sending out a letter to let us know what's to be expected.
Mr. Moore agrees, saying he intended to inform parents through this letter that mistakenly was never sent.
Well, I think the parents have a right to know about it. I would agree with them. And I think they have a right to have their child not take part.
Although her 4th grader has not yet taken the survey, this woman understands why such tests have become necessary.
In this day and age, I don't think those questions are odd to be asked. I think because our society is just way out there, I don't think those are odd questions.
Now, if you're wondering whether your child has taken this survey, the odds are pretty high, since according to the Plain Dealer, 8 million students have taken it since 1982.
Now, Jenny, do the kids have to answer the questions? Are the tests mandatory?
Well, the principal seems very conscientious about this and says if parents object, they do not have to. And by the way, it is an anonymous test. They don't put their name on it.
All right, thanks.
Well, the results are in from a week-long truancy crackdown. A total of 150 students throughout Cleveland were picked up on truancy charges. Court hearings for the parents and children start on Monday. Some officials believe that when students skip school, it often leads to criminal activity.
He's a suspect in the 42-year-old Marilyn Shepard murder case, and today Richard Eberling finally submitted to a blood test. 66-year-old Eberling was Sam Shepard's window washer. DNA tests will be done to see if his blood matches that found at the murder scene. There's no word on when the results will be available.
Well, he's facing sexual assault charges in one community, but police say he's suspected in a string of other attacks. Now, investigators say Noah Locke was arrested in Brecksville for sexually assaulting a woman outside of a restaurant. They're also trying to determine if Locke's responsible for a series of assaults stretching from Kent down to Oberlin. Now, women have been punched, grabbed, and even had human urine splashed in their faces. Police wonder if this woman was one of his victims.
He, put his hand, on the left side of my face, tried to put, a rag over my face. And I turned away from him, and he still tried to do it, but then I started to scream.
Now, several area police departments are now involved with this case.
There's an ugly divorce battle going on in town, the one involving the Browns and the city. City Council is deciding whether to accept or reject the deal, and as News Channel 5's Kathy Davis reports, it's getting ugly.
And that wasn't enough, and then I tripled it, and that's how I came up with this figure. $490,633 approximately. I shall give you that in cash. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be harder than hell's what it is, but I'm going to do it. You just have to, redo, the house.
As we saw in the War of the Roses, the pains of doing battle can be tough.
There's a bunch of predators calling themselves the NFL. And we're being asked to cough up, shell out, and turn over. and none of us like it.
City attorneys say the divorce decree, if you will, is a good one, and council should sign it. And what are you saying to them to reassure them that signing on the dotted line is the way to go?
We have to weigh the visceral enjoyment that many of us would get out of retribution of dragging the team owner through the courts for 3 years and all the attendant income loss to the team against what is in the long-term best-run interest of the city.
But some council members say this custody dispute isn't over, and they'd rather take their chances in hopes of a better payout after a lawsuit.
This is a bad deal.
Councilwoman Fannie Lewis is one of them. Is this flashbacks of Gateway?
Oh, yes. The 28,000 jobs that we were going to get. I mean, citizens are already hocked up to the hilt. And here we're talking about a 7.3% water rate increase. I mean, what are we going to do, hock these folks for the rest of their lives? No, no.
You're saying no?
No. Let's go to court. Let's go to litigation.
With the front office for the people.
And fans, well, they feel like the forgotten stepchildren.
Take them to court, and let's go from there, really.
But Mayor White says it's not wise to push our luck.
I don't take this personally. I'm not angry about anything. I just think that they ought to be fully informed that they are literally dealing with some very serious consequences if they fail to pass this deal.
But sometimes when you hold something too tightly, things get broken.
You love them as much as I do. More.
In Cleveland, Kathy Davis, News Channel 5.
Now, if council doesn't pass the deal, it does have the legal authority to make the city take Modell to court. The hearings continue tomorrow.
Well, that's one of the biggest fines ever levied on a professional baseball player, and a Cleveland church and other charities will benefit from it. Now, the Liberty Hill Baptist Church will receive part of a $50,000 fine levied against Albert Bell. Now, Bell, as you may recall, was fined by the league after an argument with a female sportscaster during the World Series. The Larry Doby RBI program and the Rookie League will also receive money from that fine. Well, so you can't get any tickets to an Indian game this summer anyway. Well, how about taking a different road to get into Jacobs Field, like getting a real job? They're looking for the few, the on time, and the folks who want to sell beer, peanuts, and hot dogs all summer long. We're talking about vendors at Jacobs Field, part-time work for some 80 baseball games, and of course, the World Series. Hundreds will apply for some 250 jobs. After all, it's kind of nice to get paid to watch baseball.
The Indians did pretty good last season, and I never watched baseball, and I kind of got pumped up a little bit, so I want to see them do good again so I can get paid and watch the game also.
If you are under the age of 18 and you do not have a parent or legal guardian, we do not need to see you today.
To work at Jacobs Field, you have to first fill out an application and then be screened for drugs. You then have to be prepared to work and work hard if you get hired, because there are more applicants than jobs. After all, a lot of folks want to be a part of a winning team.
The Indians have been a winning team since I've been here in Cleveland, so it's been easy. I've been in Detroit where the team isn't so easy, and it's much more difficult there.
It certainly is. Well, if you missed your chance to go to today's job fair, don't worry, there will be another one held tomorrow.
Our frosty morning air didn't stop a lot of people with generous hearts. GE employees made Harvest for Hunger their first order of business today. Bags and bags and more bags of food were donated to the annual drive. Employees at the Nela Park plant were happy to give.
How important do you think this is?
I think it's very important. There's some people out there that just they fall on hard times, and that organizations like this, getting together like this, helps them out. It could be any one of us.
You can help with the Harvest for Hunger food drive campaign. If you live in Cleveland, send checks to the address you see on your screen. And there's also an address here for Akron residents. New drug concerns, managing anger, and an everyday hero. Those stories are tonight's hometown headlines. In Stark County, narcotics officials are on the alert because of rumors that tattoos laced with LSD could be in the area. Agents say an internet message was picked up which talked about the so-called Blue Star LSD tattoos. So far, officials say there's been no trace of the items. In Lorain, some parents have been put on notice. If a teen is caught fighting at Lorain Middle School, a parent may have to join the child for detention. Actually, the parent and teen will both have to take part in an anger management class. Officials say parents learn a lot from the class as well. And in Elyria, 12-year-old Jamil Reed is a hero, and he's been recognized in Washington. Jamil was honored by the American Red Cross as an everyday hero for saving a life with CPR. The young man used CPR to stop his best friend from choking. Jamil learned CPR in his school, and he thinks everyone should learn it.
It's important because you wouldn't want your own friend just to sit there and watch him choke, so you want to react and do something. So I think it's important for everybody to learn.
By the way, the award ceremony kicked off National Red Cross Month.
Sounds like a good kid. Well, straight ahead on News Channel 5 at 11.
I'm medical editor Dr. Ted Costello. Coming up, I'll tell you why doctors are offering a free trial treatment to get rid of young and old stretch marks.
So much for the sunshine. Back to cloudy skies once again tonight. And wouldn't you know it, tomorrow cold and a little bit of snow.